Hey, everybody, welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for accredited investors and aspiring real estate investors. In each episode, I try to bring industry subject matter experts to join us for a talk about what they do and share their insights into their industry. Today, I'm super excited. Bree Hartman is joining me today. She's the founder of Self Storage School, and this is where she helps W2 professionals. I think that means all working professionals, doctors, dentists, and real estate investors. We're from Canada. Uh, Replace their income and create time freedom by buying their first self-storage facility in only 6 to 12 months, even if they have no experience, no time, and no money. So I think this is great. Now, Bree is a former state employee turned gym owner, turned real estate investor. She's built a $6 million portfolio with 86,000 square feet of storage across multiple states, all managed remotely from home while raising her daughter, Kia. Her mission is simple: teach people how to buy storage facilities with no tenants, no toilets, and no employees so they can design a life they love. Fantastic. Did I get everything right, Bree?
You did. You nailed it. Man, I'm like, I've done all that. It's kind of cool.
All
Love
right.
that.
Hey, why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah. So I like to say I'm Bree Hartman. I live up in Sacramento, California. And in the past, gosh, 6 years, I think now we're up to an $8 million self-storage portfolio. And so I always like to say, like, the whole reason, for getting into self-storage is for my daughter. Like, it's the result is time freedom. And I think just having, life options, which is, to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And so that was something that was really near and dear to my heart. And I always say, like, I am just like an average Joe, right? Like, I W-2 employee in the US, which means that, you go to work for the state. I worked for Fish and Wildlife for the state of California for 7 years, doing a 9 to 5 job and really, really putting in the hours in the hopes of like having a pension and doing everything the right way. But I was bored to tears. My dad's like, go get a stable job and make an income. And, I did that and I'm like, gosh, I just want more, right? And so that was really my pivotal moment where I went back to school, got my nutritionist degree. I opened up a gym. I ran a gym for 5 years and I was like, this is going to be the solution. And little did I know that I turned it into a busy job. I called it a jobby because solopreneur, I did everything wrong, you guys. Learned all the business lessons. And I think at the end of the day, I was like, this is a hopping stone. And so when I became pregnant with my little girl, I was like, I got to do something. And I soul searched and I did one accidental rental. And I laugh about it because I learned that there's service dogs and toilets and black mildew and mold. And that really led me to, my gosh, I want to go buy a storage facility. So I know it was a very quick jump. I think it was 10 weeks pregnant, and I went to a storage conference. And after I came back from that conference, like I didn't even know what acquisitions meant. And I was like, I'm going to jump into storage. No toilets, no tenants, no employees. So that is how I, in a nutshell, like found storage, and the rest is kind of history. Now I'm obsessed with buying storage facilities throughout the US and hopefully one day in Canada, and Spain. So that would be really great.
Really great.
Yeah.
Tell us about that first deal. What did you
Yeah.
experience there? How many units? Where was it? How far away from home? Tell me all about it.
Yeah, yeah. So this was about probably 6 years ago. And man, I mean, they call like your first deal is your first baby. And I was pregnant at the time. And so really crazy is I was doing the gym business and then underwriting deals, at my lunch and night hours. And it took me, the joke in the family really was like, is the baby going to come first or is the storage facility going to come first? And I was like, the guess was actually right. The storage facility came first. And then like 8 weeks later, I gave birth. So, but the whole part to this, it took me about 9 months to find my deal. And I live in California, and I found the deal in Louisiana out of all the places, which is like all the way across the US,
For sure.
from where I lived. And I was like, I never thought I'd buy a storage deal in Louisiana. And once you find a good deal and you underwrite it and it cash flows, and there's a value add strategy and upside, you're like, yes, we're going to go do it. So to answer your question, it was about 365 units. Half of it was climate controlled, the other half was drive up. And then a nice thing about that facility was that there was another like 2 acres for expansion. And so we were able to add another 67 RV and boat spots within 8 weeks. And, from there, we actually bought this facility with an SBA loan. So for people that don't know what that is, in the US, it's a small business association loan. And so you only have to put 10 to 15% down as a down payment. And so the whole goal is to get people in, right, to buying storage because you don't come from wealth. How do you just buy the first one, right? And so we bought a storage facility, a $3.1 million facility with 2 other partners. So I have 3 partners, 3 of us total in this. And we took it down together. And so we've constantly been adding other facilities as partnerships and outside of that as well.
Did you all go through the same training, that same conference to learn all about it?
So I met them at another conference because I was like, I can't just go to one. I have to go to two, being
Oh,
ambitious and pregnant. And so I met them at a conference and we afterwards, it's the follow-up because most people go to conferences and then they never like follow up with people they meet. And so afterwards, I was bringing them deals and I'm like, hey, I sat at a dinner table with them and then very soon we started to kind of like, hey, do you want to take a look at this deal? Or hey, does this deal work for you? And then very quickly we found one that made sense. And when it makes sense and cash flows, it's a go. Like put an offer in.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you started with one, and you've grown to now $8 million worth of your portfolio. Tell me about that. Was the second one like another 9 month journey, or was it boom boom boom?
No. Yeah, so it was kind of crazy. 3 months later, right? 30 minutes away from our larger, we call it mothership facility. The goal is always to like, if you can find a good market, then you want to buy just as many facilities in that market as possible to reduce your expenses. So we found this facility and we bought it with seller financing, which was so much easier than an SBA government loan. We always joke it was like a 50-page document to sign versus like a 8-page document. And so yeah, we negotiated with the owner and just said, hey, can you be the bank, right? And we'll give you your price if you can give us terms. And so what this looked like was Steve wanted to retire and he was like an old pastor and he was wanted to retire and not, have to call tenants and all sorts of stuff and wanted to move up to South Carolina and he wanted fishing money. That was his big deal. He loved fishing. You talk about fishing with him for hours to bond. And so now what we did was we bought that facility for $500,000 seller financed and we only had to put 15% down. So we put $75,000 down and it's a 5% interest with a 7-year balloon and amortized over 30 years. And so I know this by heart because we pay him immediately, to his bank account every month, $2,240. And it's like a deal, right? And so what's crazy about this, it's been gosh, I don't know, what is it now, 5 years, something like that. But our goal right now is because we've maximized the value and we're leaving a little bit on for some investors. The goal is to either we'll sell a facility this year or next spring for about 1.1 million at a 7.5 cap. Right. So that would be, 2x. And so yeah, that's kind of something that we do is never overlook the smaller deals. And that's a 10, 12,000 square foot facility. It's tiny and it still did very, very well. Yeah. And we'll 1031 to something bigger. That's what you normally do is how do you build that net worth, right, on top of one another?
I love that because it's so easy to get caught up in looking for bigger deals and missing the small ones that can actually still very be a tremendous way to build up wealth and the cash flow. Then why not, right?
So I'll tell you a cheat code just because and especially in my storage school students, they are crushing it right now by buying smaller facilities under 15,000 square feet. And the reason is because we're looking in, US, you can do this in Canada, but we call them like third and fourth tier markets which means that other big, large REITs or syndicators aren't looking in those areas. And so these are the concentration of a lot of mom and pop operators. So a lot of people who want to retire and they're like, I own this outright. They have no websites, like they have no, they're not doing dynamic pricing. They, are very okay with being 95% occupied and getting cash flow every, month. And so we've been really doing well with buying these facilities and buying them fast and then buying a few in this market where people can actually cash flow day one and then go do it faster because people will wait for this perfect facility for 2 years. And it's like, if you can just gobble up some of these smaller facilities, it's almost just, it's even better than some of these bigger facilities with less headache.
I love that. So, which you're now moved into a place where you want to teach others this skill, and I think that's magical. And if I recall, you teach people how to find, how to fund, how to fix, and have fun while they're doing it, something like that.
It
So,
has to be. You have to have fun while making money. Always.
tell me about the training.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, they want to buy self-storage or they want to get into commercial real estate. And so people kept coming to me and saying, like, hey, Bree, like, how are you finding these mom and pop facilities? Or, hey, can I use your calculator? Or how are you doing that seller financing deal? So many times I'm like, no, hey, I'm not opening up a school. And so finally I was like, you know what? I am so sick of some of these gurus and people that they don't teach what they preach. And so we opened up storage school and we're like, you know what, we want to come in, want to show people how to do seller financing deals, and we want to partner with them, right, to take those deals down altogether. So if there was a place that we could do deals together with an off-market pipeline, which we do have, then that's such a win-win. So yeah, very much like in the trenches with my students. Like I always say, I'm only 6 years ahead of you. I'm still cold calling. I'm still doing seller financing deals, negotiating, and I'm young and I'm hungry. So those are the people that we really want to help and really partner with and kind of show people how to take these deals down. So we just had a student that bought a $1.5 million facility in Texas, which is really exciting. And we literally just closed like March 31st. And this was a deal, an off-market deal that we were able to negotiate with this owner. And people forget about this, but this owner had fell out of contract with someone else, and he actually sold it. He was like, "Hey, I need to sell because my wife has cancer, and I need this money right now for her. We want to move to a nicer, smaller home, and for her chemo treatments." And so things like this happen all the time. And so we were able to come in and solve that problem. And he actually sold to us $300,000 below what he was going to sell from the current owner.
Wow.
So it was a really good deal from the get-go. And this gentleman and student will probably be able to push this deal. I said, if you're a good operator and you move fast, he'll be able to push it to about 2.4 in about 3 years or less. If you're a good operator.
Oh, that's
So
good money. That sounds great.
yeah, so he's going to do very, very well. I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Mhm. Hey, so I'm a multifamily investor, and I look at the real estate market and watch it go through its boom and bust cycles and try to figure out where everything is on that curve. I can only imagine that self-storage must be like the opposite. Is that a fair assessment? Like
Yeah.
when the real estate market is going down, does that mean more people need storage? I don't know. Tell me.
Always. I was like, that's the thing, is like storage is a really great asset class in an up market, a down market, and like a flat market. We are, there is a little bit of experience of decrease in occupancy right now, but that a lot of people don't understand where that comes from. Like even though you have less occupancy, we've increased rates by 67%, since we've bought it. So a lot of people forget about some of these pieces. But the thing is with self-storage is, if you're downsizing, people are going to need self-storage. If people are moving into multifamily, very much we've got lots of business to business people that use our services, such as the library has 8 climate controlled units with us that store their papers that they have to have for like 8 years, or the tax returns, those items. And so that's the biggest thing is people are using storage, especially in the US, and Canada needs it even more because you guys have a huge demand for storage. But people are using this as an easy button, right? So instead of, putting all their Christmas stuff and, going through all these items, they're actually taking it to a storage facility and they're putting it in there for $110, right? And that becomes a subscription-based business every single month that renews. And it kind of becomes on autopilot where it's harder to take a full weekend away from your busy lifestyle to go borrow your friend's truck, bribe him with pizza to go take your stuff, and move it out or move it down the street if we move up our rates by $10, right? And so it becomes it's a sticky business that it goes month to month. And so that's something that I feel very, blessed, I guess, to be in this space is that everyone loves their stuff. Amazon, like for us in America, I'm sorry, but we get Amazon packages like every other day to my house. So we're very much a, material consumer, and that is what self-storage does very well when interest rates go down because people are moving and buying houses, and storage does very, very well in a downturn because they're downsizing, right? And they're moving their things into these different units.
I've done it myself. I've taken advantage of
Yeah.
storage between homes as we're moving and consolidating and trying to actually find space for things. It's so much easier to take
Yep,
it and hide it away.
it
It's
is.
unfortunate that you realize, oh, here I am a year later. I'm still hiding a problem instead of dealing with it. But still, yeah, I
And
know
it
it's true. It's
And
true.
it's wild. Just one more thing, just a lot of people don't think about, but we have, 6 to 8 different revenue streams that you can actually tag on as an upsell in storage. And so, like on one of our facilities, obviously you got climate cold and drive up, and then you've got RV and boat that you have the people that have the toys. We also have, we call it tenant protection plans, or it's same thing as tenant insurance. So people will have to either show us their insurance or buy $12 of insurance every single month from
Really.
us times 300 units. Like it's a lot of money. And then another big part to this is buying security sensors. So a $20 upsell if you want a security sensor that, goes to your text message or phone.
Mm.
So we put those in units as well. And then we have cell towers that pay us money and billboards. And then you've got U-Haul, right? So there's a lot of different revenue streams that you can tack on to just the product of storage that you can make money from to increase your NOI over time.
I didn't consider all of those. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It just makes it a little bit more, I don't know, exciting from a boring business
Yeah,
standpoint.
yeah.
Yeah.
Boring business or not, it's giving you a lifestyle. Tell me how you manage to do all of this remotely.
I know.
And you
Yeah.
don't have any
Awfully
employees,
efficient.
right?
Yeah, so we have a 1099, which is in the US, it's a contractor like that works like 15 hours a week. And so how this works, I guess, just in remote management and operations, which I get passionate about because AI, like we are very much on, like we're very much on the edge. I want to have AI as testing boundaries, right, between good customer service and still how do you reduce your expenses as a business owner. And storage, we're blessed because we don't have a lot of, different key pieces that you have to turn into. But what's beautiful about storage, and this is the operations, is that normally you pull up your phone, right? You find on Google Maps, you're like, hey, I like this facility. I want to rent a unit. It's 3 minutes from my house. You go on the website, you pay $110 for a 10 by 10. What happens is you sign the lease and right there on your phone, and then you take a picture of your driver's license back and front. As soon as that happens, it sends you a customized code, gate code, and lock code to your phone or to your email. And you drive up with all your stuff, whatever time you want, and you put your custom gate code in. You go to your unit and you put your lock code in, which is it's a smart lock. And as soon as you take that off, you put your stuff in, you put your own lock on, you drop our lock off, or you get charged $20 a month if you want our lock. And you literally, there's QR codes along the whole entire premise. So if anyone needs someone, they can. But if you think about it, millennials, all our Gen X's, everyone, no one wants to talk to anyone anymore. sadly. And it is, which is good. It's like, it's one of those things that people want easy. And if you can create a very simple, easy process and that has customer service on the outskirts with QR codes all the time, and a text app, you're going to be set. So you drive out and you never had to have anyone there. So that's how we kind of like to run our facilities is they're all remote. We actually rent out our office space for $1,000 a month, which is really cool. We have a business that is paying us money. That's another income stream. Adds $128,000 to our bottom line of that facility just by putting that one tenant in there for a whole year. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys, from an operator standpoint, how you can maximize with less effort. And so I think that's the biggest thing is how do you take lemons and make lemonade, but how do you keep a simple, boring business simple
How do you
and
keep
not like
it?
an Airbnb?
I think
So
it's just fantastic. I mean, I can only imagine what goes through one of your new students' minds when they all of a sudden realize and they become an owner of this property. I mean, what actually changes in their life when this happens? I can only
oh my
imagine.
gosh. Yeah. So we just had another student that he lives in Virginia, has a W-2, has two young kids, and he just bought his first facility within 4 months. And we, walked him through. It was a 6-week boot camp, and then we're like, okay, now let's submitting offers, right? And so he actually negotiated a 10,000 square foot facility for $90,000 seller finance, and he only had to put 10,000 or 10% down, $9,000 down, and this facility will be worth about 310,000 within 3 years. And so for him, I'm like real estate. I asked him, I'm like, how many hours are you spending? He's like, maybe 3 to 5 like hours a week.
Hmm.
And he's like, it really isn't that much. But what we taught him is that he has a local boots on the ground. It's in Texas. So it's completely out of state for him. And so he has a really good boots on the ground that he met and he oversees every single week that keeps things very easy and automated. So it gets to be easy, but you have to do it, right? You have to install processes. It's not just mailbox money from the get-go. It's you still are an operator, you put processes in place, but it gets to be easy over time.
Hmm.
So that will cash flow for sure, 2,000, maybe 3,000. It's a small facility, but the real kicker is he's going to be able to 1031 that,
Mhm.
with $9,000 down with no bank involved, so it's going to be a great deal for him, a first starter deal.
What a fantastic story.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess if somebody's sitting on the sidelines for the last couple of years wondering what they should do, what would you be telling them right now?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, they're like, I've been wanting to buy storage forever. And I really think it's important to, insert yourself, right? It's finding a group, it's finding a community that is stronger than will, and putting yourself there so that you can get those same results 10 times faster.
Yeah.
But it's making sure you find a group that is actually doing what you want to do, and making sure that you are going to be like, hey, what's this next step? How are you guys doing this, and are you really buying storage?
Mhm.
So I think that I've always done this, even in my 9 lives prior, is like, how do you find someone that you want to be like, and then you put yourself there. And so that's what we like to do in storage school is, match people up to partner, like a money partner or a deal partner, deal finding partner. And then also being able to, teach what you preach. And so that's something that I think will really 10x yourself faster is by finding those groups and then going for it, right? It's not about learning A to Z. It's about, okay, let's find deals, let's have conversations, let's underwrite the deals every week, and let's make offers. I know it sounds simple, but if you keep it simple like that, it's only a matter of time before you buy your first facility. And then you're going to go buy another one 3 months later. I guarantee I've told both of these students, I'm like, okay, make sure you keep your flywheel open and you're going to go buy one 3 months later in that market.
It's a numbers game, right?
It
Eventually
is.
somebody's going to say yes.
Absolutely, hands down. And I think the 1%, like people are scared. And I was talking about this the other day, cold calling or talking to brokers, is something that I always say, like, even the biggest thing humans are scared of is, cold calling. and going on a blind date because you're talking to someone you don't know, right? All humans want to be accepted. And it's interesting because if you just, ask, right, would you consider an offer? That could be that $1 million deal that will set you up for success 10 years later. And so I laughed. I set this question to my students. I said, would you cold call for an hour if you knew you're able to buy $1 million storage facility? Right? And everyone's like, yes, yes, yes. But it's who will actually do it, right? It's the actions versus the words. Yeah,
Taking action, it's something that tests your nerve, right? And if
it
it's
does.
something that's strange to you, then
Hmm.
you mentioned Gen X's don't want to talk to anybody, but here I am
No,
talking to you. I clearly love talking
right?
to people, so
It is. No, me too. And everyone has different personalities, and I get it. It's unnatural in the beginning, but storage owners and business owners right now, they're baby boomers. They are wanting to retire. And it's like, how do we capitalize or how do we, find an unsophisticated owner and solve that problem is by buying that facility and then go or buying a business, right? And taking it off their hands. And so I think there's a really big advantage right now for people who can build relationships because it's sometimes less about, the purchase price. Clearly, in this one that he bought for 1.5 million, he was trying to sell it for 1.8, it fell out of contract. And so he clearly was like, this guy's the right owner. And he said he would be, he would close in 60 days. And he did that. And he shared that over and over. Hey, I got 1.5, I'll close if you pick me. And sure enough, a handshake and a call is what helps close these deals. So, absolutely.
so after you close the deal, you mentioned a little bit about putting the process in place, but if you as you're fixing these places up and putting in all of your equipment, etc., I mean, what are the first few things you need to do quickly, and what about the things you got over time? I guess let's walk through a little bit of the fix
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. So in Storage School, we have an operations 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day like blueprint. So it's like these are the things that you have to do in 30 days, these are the things you have to do in 60. But I think some things that people I think forget about for sure is I always talk about like an occupancy license. Like in the US, you have to go to the city or the county and get an occupancy license, right? To do business in that area. And so sometimes people forget, right? If you haven't been done business or haven't owned a business, that you do need that. And then another couple of things is utilities, right? Like you've got to transfer all the utilities into your business name. And sometimes the owner says, "Oh, I only have one utility." This happened to me, but he had like five. And these were like climate controlled buildings. And we had no climate control for the first 7 days, which was so not good. But because we had one utility transferred in our name, which we thought all of them were, but there was like four more. So that was a fun little red tape thing that we got to experience. Um, yeah, and I think just these little pieces that making sure that you are, if you're going to put a website in and everything's on paper and pen, right? You're going to need to figure out which is the best storage database or vendor stack for you. And then from there, making sure that you have it live day one, right? Or even like get it live within 2 weeks of owning that business. And so we have a lot of really good vendor relationships with ones that we put them in like 15,000 feet or 15,000 square feet and below, or mid-tier ones and larger, based on what they can afford, right? For different sizes. So I think just being able to be clued in to do these things fast, because if you're going to do this by yourself, like I see people try to go on YouTube University and podcasts, yes, you can learn the basic standards, right? But if you're really in it and you're buying a $500,000, $1 million facility, making sure that you are in a group with owners that can be like, hey, I like this website versus this one, is very important to having to do that process like 3 times, right? So I feel like as long as you're willing to like invest and kind of look through some of these main key pieces, that's going to help you and serve you for the long run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great advice. Hey, a
Yeah.
couple more things, and I know we're running out of time on your end. So, um, You started with wanting to set up a lifestyle for your daughter, for you and your daughter and your family,
Yeah.
and get that. And I think you've managed to put this in place. Has
Yes.
your why changed? What is it? What does success look like now, and as you look at the future, and how are you going to know when you get there?
That's a great question. So I always like to check in with myself because I think it's just very to be intentional, right? And my biggest thing is the two things for me for success is obviously, you're cash flowing, you're making enough money for your lifestyle. But being able to, I always say to have slow mornings, like with my daughter. Um, I used to wake up, you guys, as a gym owner, like at 5 a.m. in the morning and train people at 5:30 a.m. And I'm like, no longer do I ever want to do that. So I'm the one that wants to, make pancakes and take my daughter to school more at like 9:30, and she's 4 right now. But so that's my thing is like, how do we have slow mornings? And the second thing is how do I lay my head down on a pillow and not feel stressed? Because when I had that one accidental rental, I actually have a few rentals now. It was very like okay, the water heater went out. Great. So all our cash flow's gone for like 4 months. Um, or we had a service dog come in and it have $7,000 of baseboard damage. And so it felt like there was something happening every single month. So being able to lay my head down and be like, there's not urgency, which is self-storage, because if people can't get in to the storage facility for one night, they don't live there. It's going to be okay. No one's going to die, right? They're gonna be able to get their stuff tomorrow. They might not be happy, but that's okay. We can do something, right, to help for customer service. But that's really big for me is urgency and being able to have slow mornings with my daughter. So those are my definitions of success. Yeah.
Right on. I love that. Um, you mentioned wanting to say or having something for the listeners today.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys are interested, I know storage school is open right now. So we do open enrollment only a few times a year. And so we have a cohort starting kind of in May. So if you are interested, definitely send me the word just school. And you can send me the word school to 916-579-7209. And then I also just like for your listeners, I wanted to give a special storage offer calculator. So you guys can actually use this to underwrite and kind of look at deals and say yes and no within like 5 minutes. So if you guys are wanting that, I will give the link to Steve. And then also you can also send me the word calculator to that same number, 916-579-7209, and I'll send that straight to you. So
Everybody needs to write that number down.
yes, yes, hands down. So I was like, I want to send that over, and it's a really good bundle. We have an offer calculator and a deal finding cheat sheet.
Uh,
So yeah, anything to help out because it's always that first deal that is, it's like, where do you start? How do you start, and how do you do it better or faster than what, someone else told you a long time ago that might not work. So I love doing that. It makes my heart happy.
Uh, I
Yeah.
think it's been absolutely magical talking with you today. Thank you so much, Bree. Before I forget, and I always do, if you're liking this video, please make sure that you click that like and the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, I'd like it very much if you adjusted that and subscribe to this channel. And if you think your friends might want to hear this, then please feel free to share it. Bree, thank you ever so much. It's been a true pleasure. Any last words?
No, just bet on yourself and go all in. Because I was like, my big word right now is life maxing. Life max yourself out.
Right on. I think that's awesome. Thank you again, Bree. That's been an awesome time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.